outages, again, they are widespread, they are substantial, and they are going to get worse. Because what do you see on that map there? If I think click empty, nope, empty, that's not the right empty I'm looking for. I'll put on alerts because I have them all turned off. Those are lightning strikes. Unfortunately, God, I was really hoping we were wrong on the whole convective thing. But that one moving toward Tupelo is going to be a problem right there. That's going to be thunder ice of some form and fashion. Just what the next person I'm about to talk to was hoping, I would say, because unfortunately his job is to coordinate people to try to get the lights back on. With me, Scott Hendricks with Tom Bigby Electric Power Association. Thank you so much for joining us here this morning on Mississippi Live Weather. I mean, obviously, your people are going to be doing the best they can to try to get things back as quickly as they can. And let me just ask this question. Is it even safe for them to be out there at this point? Because I'm going to tell you, I don't think I need my power back at some point, but I don't think it's safe yet.
Matt, that question varies. It depends on where we're talking about. In some parts of our system, yes, it's safe. In some parts, it's not. I've been talking to our neighbors in Pontotoc County, and at this point, they have giant trees falling, and they don't think it's safe to be out much, except for emergencies. For the western side of our system, it's more dangerous than the eastern side of our system. Most of our outages are Lee County. Our Itawamba County side, we have about 50 outages. Much safer over there. From all guys coming in this morning, the roads were very passable. I'm not encouraging people to drive. I'm just talking about what we faced. Bridges are very dangerous. Black ice is potential. But I think we've got more water than ice on the roads at this point. So I think we're able to move people around. On Tom Bigby's system, we have very few full trees, mostly limbs. So we are going to send crews out. We're keeping some crews in reserve till we find out what problems are. We're troubleshooting stuff. We know some stuff from good reports from members where transformers are out, where they see a limb on a line. We've had very few poles affected. There is ice accumulated on lines, but that is not the problem at this point. It isn't to the point where that's causing any issues. Everything we have are tree limbs, a few trees, and a very small number of poles involved so far. So to your safety question, this is what we do. This is what we prepare for. We are going to go out in the current conditions. Now, we have told our crews, if it changes to where you are in danger, we stop. We come back in, we regroup, we wait for the storm to progress and finish, and we go back out. But right now, we're sending out all directions, all crews. We'll probably post some video of the trucks pulling out. We've had good morning meetings. We've fully restocked from last night and are rolling those out here any minute. So that's where we are on safety. We got about 7,000 out for Tom Bigby. I think Pontotoc has about 15,000 out, which is a huge percentage for them. I can't speak to any other system at this point. We communicated late last night. We've not communicated this morning. I saw your map on outages. I would tell you it's pretty accurate. I agree with you. It will get worse. At this point, we just have to face the biggest ones first and try to get the most people back on. We threw as much manpower as we could at it last night, got hundreds of people back on. When we went to sleep, we still had about 700 off, which I hate to go to bed with members off, but it was what we needed to do because the day was going to be far worse from what you were telling us, from what we were seeing. And unfortunately, you were right. I wish you would have been wrong about this whole storm, but you guys have been spot on, and here we are.
I mean,
so
I got to tell you, you're not the only one that was really hoping I was right. I woke up and the first thing I did is I went and flipped on the lights for outside. I was like, I think this is the switch that does that. I went in the hall. I'm like, I think this switch does that. And then I woke my wife up and said, hey, we have 75% battery power on the whole house system. I've got a truck to keep this going if we need to. But we have a finite amount of time. You want to take a shower while we can? And she declined. So let it be told that she declined and I tried. I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but there are real life things that go along with this. There's a good chance that people watching on their phones might not see anything else from you or from me for a few days. So with that in mind, what is it? What information do you think not just your customers, but electric customers are going to be out for the next few days need to know, both for life preservation purposes as well as just general convenience and understanding purposes?
I would say those with medical conditions make whatever arrangements you need to be out for a substantial amount of time. If that's extra oxygen, extra batteries, or get to a location that's safer, that has power or that has a generator, make those arrangements because as bad as this storm is in Tupelo and Lake County, it's far worse in other places in Mississippi. And it will be days. Getting help in will be difficult because so many people are affected. So be patient. If you're able to weather the storm from home, keep in mind you have some devastatingly low temperatures coming and on the heels of this weather. And that will have effects on power systems as well. You will find your weak spots. The last few years, we've been doing system maintenance, system upgrades to have less and less leak spots. I know I still have two. We had a lot bigger number of that last year, and when we faced the really cold temperatures. So we've addressed most of them, but we're not finished. We like about 2 miles of changing lines, reconductoring lines. So be patient, be prepared. Uh, just know everyone is working as hard as they can, as safely as they can. Please don't get frustrated with them. They want the power on as much as you do. They want to be back home as much as you do. And irrespective of if it's us or somewhere else, there will be systems coming to our aid from the south, from the east, where they haven't been affected as much. And we will get you back on as soon as possible. It's frustrating. Some places you may look out a window and see down the road that there's lights on. It's not favoritism. It's luck of the draw. Nobody wants anybody out, but some feeders don't suffer damage. Some feeders that have a small limb on them, you get it off quick. Some of them has the pole and a line down, and it takes hours or days. Just know everybody will keep working, and your power will get restored. Your life will return to normal. Stay off the roads as best as possible because we've got to be on them. Be careful with the generators, but just you knew it was coming. You've prepared for it. Uh, Play family game night. Enjoy your time as best you can, and make memories that you'll talk about forever. We still talk about '94. We still talk about '98. Let's make 26 a memory as soon as we can, and let's make it at least memory as possible. But it's going to be something we will remember, and it is a devastating storm. I think we should all be thankful that it wasn't worse for all of us because it hasn't done what it could have done
Yet, let's be
yet.
crystal clear here about that because you see next to me, those are lightning strikes. This is that thing that, frankly, we were hoping wouldn't happen. This is that thunder something. I mean, it clearly is. You can see the lightning with it. I just, I'm going to put this on here because I would typically do all my weather analysis, after we talk. But I want somebody who's smarter than me on this for a moment, and I'm going to see if this will give me rainfall right. Now it's not going to stick around an hour. Let's see. This is worth our time to figure out how long this will stick around, though. So give me a moment to see the width, because you can see clearly the rainfall rate is about 2 miles wide. Let's see how fast it's moving. So over the last hour, it has moved. Okay, good. Thank God. That's fast. Let's double check that. Because I mean, this is how. Oh yeah, that moved really fast over the last hour. So how far has that moved? Well, good. At least it won't be long. 80. That can't be right. Moved 80. Well, I mean, so it really moved 80 miles over the last hour. That thing's moved 80 miles over the last hour. Okay. Well, good. That's spectacular. It's moving that fast. That means it's in and out fairly quickly. But I mean, we have one. This is going to be heavy, really heavy freezing rain with this hit here. And there's going to be more waves after that. So, Scott, how much more do you think that the remaining parts of the system can handle? I know that's a ridiculous, impossible question, but just posing it nonetheless.
I worry if the winds pick up. You've got a lot of moisture in the soil now. When you've been really dry, which we have been, and you add moisture to the soil, you're going to have more trees fall. So if with this thunderstorm that's going through that's moving fast, it's going to have winds behind it, and
Hmm.
and that could be devastating. Um, more ice forming on trees till this water stops falling. We're going to still have more outages. There will be more impacts. Um, to tell you the volume, I don't know. It just flickered here, so we may lose power here in a second. Uh, it it just is going to be as it goes. No way to predict. It is going to get worse before it gets better. But I'm happy we've maintained poles in the air this long. I'm hopeful we can continue to do that. If that's the case, the repairs, the maintenance, the getting people back on is far easier and far simpler and far safer. So that's what scares me. If temperatures were to drop and freeze the moisture, we've got it on the roads, we've got it on the lines, we've got it in the trees. The trees are already substantial and heavy. They can't get much heavier. Pine trees are drooping substantially. If you go just a little to the west of us, Pontotoc losing whole trees, and they can't keep people out because they're afraid a tree will crush them. Fort County posted on their
Oh man,
internet
that
last night
picture.
of a
God.
tree. It tells the story. It tells the story. There was a tree on the
Hmm.
back of the truck. It was a good sized tree. If a man were in that bucket, he would be dead.
Yeah.
And so that's the fear for the next few hours. Probably the rest of the day, frankly. But if the worst gets out of here, if it stops raining and the sun comes somewhat close to shining, or if it just it's a little bit better day, we'll make good progress. We'll get people back on. And it will get worse before it gets better. Your 67,000 out may double. You asked for predictions. It may double before we're done. I hope not. And for our neighbors to the west, I think it'll be far worse. We're doing what we can. Help is potentially on the way. We've made arrangements for that. They've made arrangements for that. We're just going to fight the fight till we finish, and
Yeah.
um, it is scary.
I mean, I don't want to say it is what it is, but we know who's in control, and ultimately we know that you guys are going to do your best. We support you, and again, you can see the lightning beside me there. It is what it is, right?
So if you have a tornado sucking up sharks out of the 10 Tom, then I'm going to get worried because I think that's the only thing
Exactly.
you haven't done.
Boy, that'd be two of us. Gator NATO's a different thing, right?
Gator
Scott
NATO is a
Hendricks.
different thing.
Oh man, Scott Hendricks, Tom Bigby Electric Power Association. Our next conversation will probably be over phone using just my phone to broadcast because that's how much power we'll be saving. Because I'll be honest, I'm scared for your folks out there. If there's any wind and additional ice, and until midday, there'll be additional ice. And this afternoon, we're hoping there's not too much wind. And gosh, let me pray for your folks real quick. I'm doing a pray thing this morning.
Please.
Sorry if that offends somebody real quick. Dear God, there are so many
Thank
men
you.
and women out there whose job it is to take care of us. They're first responders on the front lines whose job it is to clean up our mistakes in some cases where we think that we're big, bad, and up and can go out there. But God, help humble us and help take care of them. Protect Scott's people, protect all the linemen and women and people that are going to work to try to get everything back on together. Give them swift legs, but also steady feet. And God, I just please protect them, help them to have a supernatural ability to know that something is wrong and they need to get out if push comes to shove. Help us in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, Scott.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for all you do. Our office is available to you if your battery wears out, if you can't broadcast on your phone. I know I made that offer. Please come. You're more than welcome.
I will, assuming that there's a road I can get there on, right?
Uh, I understand. I understand. But
Hey, the fact
if you
your
feel,
internet's on right now, we will find a way. I've got the electric truck out there. I can run an extension cord into here, which is probably what I will do. I'll take a commercial break. I'll put on radar. I might even call Caleb to have him talk over radar. I'm gonna plug in the truck so I save the whole house battery because who knows how long we've got this going on. Appreciate that. Scott Hendricks, the CEO
absolutely.
of
Take
Tom
care.
Bigby Electric Power Association. Thank you so much for joining us here on Mississippi Live this morning. By the way, while Scott was talking, I turned off some extra TVs. I turned my lights down a little bit. Every little bit of conservation is going to make a difference. And I got to find a way to take off Scott's name key off of me at this point here. There we go. We'll take that back down. You saw it with me. Lightning flashing in the background on our camera here in Tupelo. I'm going to see if I can widen it out. This is a fast moving storm, and it is in fact a storm. that is moving into and through, and my camera's not going to pan anymore. But it's crazy to think that I have a legit storm during an ice storm, like a legit ice storm. But that's what's moved in. Now that's how quickly that moved. See how quickly that moved? Now we have it over kind of top of Tupelo. It's just south of my location, so I should, really kind of hear things ratchet up. But this right here is thunder ice. And I'll be honest, I'm a meteorologist, got tons of experience. When I said thunder ice, my knees shook because I'm like, no one's going to believe it's true. Even I was really hoping it wouldn't be. But this is kind of the worst case scenario for where I'm at. And a lot of folks in Lee, Itawamba County, especially northwest Itawamba County, but Chickasaw County back to Calhoun County are concerned. This is where you just dump the ice and all the impacts that we have related to this. Okay, so because I know we have only a certain amount of time while people still have phones that can see something here, I want for those folks, let's talk about this. If your power is out, give me 5 minutes and then you need to turn the thing off, okay? I'm going to try to be brief. We all know that's impossible, but I'll be as brief as I can. But give me 5 minutes so you get an idea on how much is left and then turn your phone off and save your power. That's why Maggie's offline. She's saving her power because who knows how long she will be out there in Itawamba County. But let me just show you. Unfortunately, we've got more thunder, sleet, thunder, ice, thunder, storms back behind this. As you can, I can't look that direction. That TV's off. So all of this is still thunder ice kind of moving from southwest to northeast through the area. We've told you all week long in the Room to Room Weather Center that was the case. And so unfortunately, that's the case. Heavy rainfall, heavy accumulation amounts. Let me just show you something that I'd never thought I'd show during a rain event. And that is going to be, I should be able to show you, this is the 3-hour rainfall accumulation. 1 hour rainfall accumulation. Okay, let's look at this. This is how much we are adding per hour. Now let's do the 3-hour one because at least it has a scale at the top. So this is how much moisture is estimated to occur, or rain is estimated to have occurred in the last hour. And so a lot of this down here around West Point is just rain, hence the reason we have those flood advisories. But here is how much that one estimation is. About a ½ inch of liquid precipitation is what that one storm looks like it could have potentially produced as that kind of moved through. I'd say 1/4 inch. And unfortunately, some of the rainfall amounts back north and west, I'm talking about the thunder, whatever, but this has been a heavy enough rate. So this is liquid precipitation, not icing, but we expect that the icing component to this could be a significant portion as well. I want to see the 24-hour mix, which lets us look at how much ice we've seen over the last 24 hours. 2 inches or so back there in Lafayette County. For a lot of folks, we're inch plus on the ice. And unfortunately, more is on the way. Let's clear that off. I could go. We'll go around the horn. We'll look at all the stuff in a minute. But we got to get everything that we can in here before we run out of what we have left. So, again, looking at this, let's go wider. More ice. This would be a solid ice storm for us in Mississippi most of the time right here. All the way back to the south and west. We still have that much to go on this shot. And if we click this over to kind of our national radar, if you want to know how much more we have to go, about that much. Now this is moving east. So it's not the whole stretch of this. Let's make it a 3-hour loop here. It's not the whole stretch of this, but this is not at its end. And we talked about this last night. Someone wants to know what the significance of thunder and ice storm is. How is it worse? Have you ever noticed on a thunderstorm, you get those big, heavy downpours of rainfall, right? An ice storm is typically lighter variety. It starts to snow and works its way down to the ground. In this case, these are thunderstorms and thunderstorm heavy rainfall falling into below freezing temperatures and freezing when it hits the surface. And so then, rather than 1/10 of an inch per hour, which would be a heavy icing situation, you could pick up 1/4 or a ½ inch of rainfall, because think what happens with a thunderstorm. You pick up 1/4 or a ½ inch of rainfall like that. And so the significance is that if you pick up that 1/4 inch, it's 1/4 inch of ice, it's a ½ inch of ice, and it happens like that. immediate failure of the trees, immediate failure of power lines, immediate issues. And so that's the significance of the thunder ice, the thunder snow. It shows that there's a lot of moisture available. That shows the very volatile atmosphere. And it tells me that bad things could happen. And we unfortunately have a lot more ice to go with this. Power outages, it's not just us. I mean, you can see here, there are some counties in our region where power outages, percentage-wise, I mean, you're down there close to Rolling Fork, you exceed 75%. I mean, 55% of folks up there in Carroll County. You come up here in the northern part of the state. Lafayette County has been one of the harder hit up here. I used this graphic last night, and you might imagine these numbers were not as high at that point in time. Former TV station alum here, Joel Young, showed me the power meter ripped, limb came down, partially ripped off the house, partially not. But yeah, I mean, these are high numbers here. We're talking tens of thousands of folks in some cases without power, and it's going to be out for a while. The really heart of this is probably not showing on here because Bruce, as well, northern part of Calhoun County, for one reason or another, not showing. In fact, the reason Lee County isn't showing on this is not there's no power outages. Their system that shows the power outages is down. These numbers are actually far higher on power outages, but the systems where they report back to where I can show it here are no longer working. So these numbers are actually really low in comparison to reality. It's going to be a bad kind of rest of the day. It just is what it is. We showed on the wide shot there. This is the system. We basically have a storm system developing right overhead. And one of the things I need to look at on this, because I'll be honest, I went to bed, I woke up, I knew it was what it was, and we could do what we could do. But I want to look at severe weather risk, because yes, there's a severe weather risk, primarily south of us. They have shifted that farther south. So thankfully, and we weren't convinced we'd have something up here, but believe it or not, there's a tornado risk down closer to the coast. Damaging wind, also something we're watching. But again, that's primarily closer to the coast. Thank you. That's an answered prayer. Whether you realize that was something I was praying for or not, that's an answered prayer. Let's see if I can go back graphic. If it will let me on this one here, I'm going to try to come back. I'm going to try to put the wind gusts on this. Wind gusts back behind this. Let's take a look at this. Let's make this a 3-hour loop. So we show wind gusts behind this. Of course, we have them with the showers. And these are estimated wind gusts. But estimated wind gusts out there, Greenville, 30-ish miles per hour. I wonder if we still have cameras there. Oxford, we're about 20 miles per hour. Peak wind gusts. Hopefully, most of them are a little bit less than this. But unfortunately, we do expect that that we're going to have more issues with this as we go forward. By the way, to know you, so you know, I have a friend that's down there in Monroe, Louisiana, who's doing this, Jared Floyd, other chief meteorologist. The odd thing, the person who was my general manager here at the TV station for a while, his former chief meteorologist down there came from Monroe, Louisiana, and they're facing the same issue. So we have this thunder stuff with it. As you can see, it does sweep out of here. But if the current time is 7 a.m., 8, 9, 10, 11 noon, we've got 5 more hours. And in some cases, the next hour is going to be the worst of that. You can join the conversation. You can talk amongst yourselves. You can whatever we need to do here. But letting you know that we are going to continue watching things for you as long as we can. We are going to take a brief break. I'm going to see if I can, we'll look at a few more things here in a minute. I'll probably leave it on radar when I try to power up the truck and get everything going. You're watching Mississippi Live, Ice Storm 2026. Yes, it was that bad. Now, the response is something that the folks at all these electric power cooperatives are going to do as fast as they can. But I do want to read something here before we get too far. And this came in last night. President Trump approves emergency declaration for Mississippi. FEMA announced today that the federal disaster assistance is available to the state of Mississippi to supplement response efforts due to emergency conditions that, hold on, I'm gonna while I'm reading this, I want to get it right. I'm also going to bring it back to something more useful here. So we'll bring it back to power outages. Okay. FEMA announced today that the federal disaster assistance is available to the state of Mississippi to supplement response efforts due to emergency conditions resulting from the severe winter storm beginning in January 23rd, 2026. The president's Actions authorize FEMA to coordinate all disaster relief efforts to alleviate the hardship and suffering caused by the emergency on the local population, to provide appropriate assistance to save lives, to protect property, public safety, and to lessen or avert the threat of catastrophe in all 82 of Mississippi counties and the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians. Specifically, they've helped FEMA authorized to identify, mobilize, and provide at its discretion equipment, resources necessary to alleviate the impacts of the emergency protective measures limited to direct federal assistance under the Public Assistance Program will be provided at a 75% funding level. Now, that doesn't mean you and I getting 75% to fix stuff. That means the federal government is going to help the state government and local governments as necessary to try to get things back up and going. So again, we're very appreciative of that. It certainly has helped. But as someone said down here, 10,000 without power here in Boonville, Prentiss County, 90,000 everywhere. It's going to do a lot more. It's going to be necessary we get colder. I do need to talk. I'll see if I can pull up the list. We'll do that after this break while I try to get my stuff straightened out. Because there's a list of warming shelters out there. You're not going now, but you might not have power to find out about it later. We are, again, I promise something. I'm not able to keep things short, and I apologize for that. Let's look at icefall accumulations. I know that's what you want to know. We're going to look at that, and then we're going to send it to break. As soon as we go to commercial break, I encourage you, if you don't have power, to tune out at that time. Let me say this again. When I go to commercial break, if you don't have power, you need to turn this off at that time. You got to save your power. I don't know how long you're going to have it on your phone, but you might have an actual legitimate, honest to God emergency coming up at some point, and you're going to need to have that phone, because do you have a landline? Probably not. I don't. So let's look at this. And again, as we talked about, this line, I can't see on that. There's no TV there. This line was close, but we talked about how precarious you were sitting at 32 in Tupelo. It has been thunder ice. And that means trees on my property, trees on your property have fallen. But as much as I obsessed, because the nerd wants the answer, as we talked about just back to the north and west where we have had those peak impacts, in that peak impact zone, unfortunately, we nailed it. God, I was hoping we were wrong, but we nailed it. Anyway, okay. So as you can see, we'll continue to have heavy precipitation, and it will be, can you see my mouse this time? Yeah, you can. Okay. In this zone, right along the interchange there, this will continue to be heavy icing. The cold air is now winning. The low is moving away, and the cold air is going to sweep behind this. So we're going to have heavy icing to the tune of probably, you know what? One of these days, I've been doing this 20-some years, I'll trust my gut. I'm going to bet, and I have not seen what the model said, I'm going to bet it still has somebody getting an additional inch of ice. Let's find out. But yeah, you can see here, 10:30, 11, we're still in the ice, starts to move out. 11:30, dry air moves in, and God willing, we dry out after that. And then temperatures drop. This is the other factor with this. If you're lucky enough to have power, this is going to stress the system just on how cold it gets. We're teens by evening, and we're probably down into the single digits, if not teens, by tomorrow morning. Significant cold air is in place. And the things, I'm not even talking about what Storm Chaser's sending. One come in a second ago says there's a rescue in process in Tippah County where a tree fell on a house. There will be more of that, unfortunately. Okay, let's look at icefall accumulation totals, and then you've got to promise me that you're going to turn this off. And what I'm looking at here, time settings, let's go back. Let's see how far back this needs to go last. This is the latest version of my Futurecast here, and it picks it up. It says in the first hour that this is running, there should have been a 1/4 inch of ice. That's a 1/4 inch of ice that our model said would pick up in the first hour between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. And you can see the additional icefall totals. Ding, 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 Bruce, you're the winner. And that would be what's happened in about the last hours, what it's estimating on there. And going forward to the end of the event. And unfortunately, this shows a Bruce including, I think, that heavy band that just moved through. I think it went a little south of Bruce there, but additional icing significant. And I want to be clear, this is wrong, by the way, on Tupelo. You're on the darker pink side of this. I don't believe that number. The takeaway should be many of us that are in the main peak impact corridor. We've shown this graphic for days. But if you're here, and again, if you're in Lee County, if you're in Chickasaw County, if you're in Webster County, you're on the east side of this peak impact. This is the highest totals that we're going to see going forward the next couple of hours. I think right here from Bruce to Houston to Tupelo back to Eupora, right here is where we're so close to the moisture, but we're just cold enough, and welcome the freezing rain. That's unfortunately what happens. Trees fall in Corinth, trees falling everywhere, trees falling at my house. I don't have power. I'm on backup power. Let's find out how much, by the way, it's getting colder in the house. I know you guys have probably experienced the same thing. We've been out without power about 4 hours here at my location. So that means no heat. We are electric heat. I am fortunate. We are blessed to have a vented gas fireplace in there that I'm gonna kick on. That's what I'm gonna do in the commercial break, because I need to make sure that we don't have pipe busts and all the other stuff. How much power I got left? Got 69% on the main battery. So I'm gonna put this on something. Someone there said, Matt, ain't nothing you can do. You're right. All we can do is pray. And now you can promise me you're going to shut off your phone. If you don't have power, I appreciate your reports, but shut off your phone. Okay? And nothing we can do until this stops. Mississippi Live, well, before we go, I'm going to pray for all y'all. God, thank you for the opportunity to speak with these people today. Thank you for the many ways you blessed us, the people you've kept safe, the amazing, miraculous situation that happened down in the Fort County Electric folks last night, where a huge top of a tree falls and nobody's hurt. And it's this warning sign that this is a place we shall not go now. God, thank you so much for giving us those warnings, for giving us common sense. And now I pray that you empower the people at home with that same common sense, but a feeling of love for one another. Guide them in loving kindness to their neighbors, to share what they have. Help them be wise about staying where they are for now. And God, give us patience. I know when we ask for patience, you never do that, because that means you have an opportunity to be patient. I know a lot of us are going to have an opportunity to be patient over the next weeks. And yes, unfortunately, I said an S on there, weeks. But God enable me with that patience. And just thank you so much for protecting your people. Guide those watching us right now to you, in whatever form or fashion that is. But let us make the best out of this time, and help me to be a halfway decent dad to my kids. I've been snapping at them all week long. Help them forgive me. Help them to understand. Help me to be a good husband, and a good steward of this opportunity. As I hear trees breaking outside my house, God, protect me and my family. But your plan is perfect. In Jesus' name, amen. See you in 60 seconds on Mississippi Live Weather here this morning at 6:30 a.m.
Frozen pipes can cause serious damage. That's why Absolute Restoration is giving away free faucet covers to our community while supplies last. Installing them is easy. Just slide the foam sleeve over your outdoor faucet and secure it snugly. Also remember to disconnect hoses, open cabinet doors under sinks, and let faucets drip during extreme cold. Call or text to check availability, and from our family to yours, please stay warm and protected.
When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
Out with the old and in with the new. It's time to save big at Room to Room's New Year's sale. Store-wide markdowns 50 to 70% off. No tax. 48-month special financing. It's a new year at Room to Room Furniture in Tupelo. There's no place like home.
Hey there, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon here in the Room to Room Weather Center. I got to take it back to normal mode here, because I'm going to bring in our meteorologist, Caleb Edelblut. He's got his shot on. Caleb, we're not going to see you. We're going to see radar. And again, I appreciate Room to Room, our sponsor here, the Weather Center, Mama Justice Doppler Radar for providing, the funds to be able to provide this. I am going to, as soon here in just a second, I'm going to go ahead and put this into a looping mode here on the radar. Caleb, can I hear you?
Des, can you hear me? Talking about Mama Justice Doppler Radar.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave this looping here for a second. I'm going to pop up the chat. I have to go behind the scenes here and run a different extension cord to the truck because I'm going to try to preserve. I'm burning up about 1 kilowatt per hour on all this. And that needs to come off my truck battery, not the house battery. So, because the house battery is attached to the water heater eventually. So, yeah, take it away, Caleb. Answer questions as you can, and I appreciate you for waking up with us this morning. I'm gonna actually give me a moment. I'm gonna do something different on here because I need to probably nope. You'll be able to see it. There's being enough light here. You'll see it. I'm gonna switch off one of my lights and see if that's enough, so I can conserve electricity here.
It looks good on my end.
Yeah, that's a little dark. That's fine. Those two lights will make it work. Okay, go for it, Caleb.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if we're looking at radar right now, you can definitely tell that these icy conditions are continuing into Sunday morning. So wanted to kind of re-emphasize that this threat is not over. I know a lot of us went through some harsh conditions yesterday, overnight, and now into this morning, but we still have a few more hours as Matt kind of zoomed out earlier in this broadcast, showing that there's still a lot to the southwest that's going to move into North Mississippi. And unfortunately, we're dealing with that thunder ice, something that I know meteorologists hate to talk about, hate to think about, especially for it affecting all of you guys out there in North Mississippi. We can see those lightning strikes continuing to move across North Mississippi, and that just strand on its way towards Tupelo and Lee County. The good news is after he talked about that, right when it ended in Tupelo, hasn't really produced the same since then. You can see those lightning bolts kind of just stop right after Tupelo, just above the L and the O on the map. So that is good news to see, especially with how much it was dumping across North Mississippi. But we can also see kind of where that freezing line is. That's been the big question, especially for those out here in the southeast in North Mississippi. How much could that dip down to the south? How much could it go back up north? Good news is Matt and them, they have nailed it so far, showing where we can expect those peak threats. Hoping to see that continue push a little bit further north. That way it can still help some of those out there in Amory, Aberdeen, Columbus, Clay County, Oktibbeha, Lowndes, everybody out there in the southeast as well. But hoping for those warmer conditions to return. Unfortunately, we are going to see even colder conditions in the wake of this. So make sure that you're continuing to conserve your power and your heat because it will take a while for those temperatures to go back up. I think on our 7-day forecast, we had the highs going up to maybe 38. So we're not even reaching low 40s across North Mississippi, and our lows are going to be pretty much single digits and in the teens. So definitely some cooler conditions on the way, but that is still in the future and we want to get through right now. So let's continue looking at radar. We can see where more of those storms, and luckily not ice, that is more in the southeastern portion of our area, especially out there in Noxubee County. Looks like some storms just blew through Macon. Good news is y'all are on the right side of that warm layer, not expecting much of that to freeze right now. That is just rainfall falling from the sky. Nothing is freezing on its way down. Of course, all of this starts up at snow, so we can still think that it's snowing and try to have a good time here in North Mississippi, but thankfully still falling as rainfall out there in Macon, moving across the state line just north of Aliceville as well. Those icy conditions are still staying very consistent up in the northwestern portion of our viewing area, especially with those peak threats that we've been talking about all week long. I know some people in the comments are talking about hearing thunder, hearing those trees snap. I'm actually in my laundry room right now, and while we were live, I kind of heard a tree snap as well. They're very eerie. I totally get where you guys are coming from. Just please, I want y'all to stay indoors, stay inside. Don't get on the roadways. It's going to be very slick, and even if the ice isn't evident enough for y'all, we're going to start talking about black ice for those that are kind of right on the edge as well. So very important as we continue into these Sunday hours ahead for our Sunday morning. I know this isn't our normal routine, but definitely going to want to stay indoors as we continue trying to give you the very latest updates here across North Mississippi because we want to make sure that y'all are updated. But I'm looking at the comments again. Still seeing some comments about the thunder, hearing that, and everything going on across North Mississippi. Hoping that we can get that thunder ice out of here. If we're going to have to deal with ice, we'd rather not deal with the thunderstorms at the same time. But if it's happening, we're going to make sure you know about it so you are best prepared and understand kind of what's going on outdoors, because it's bad enough hearing those trees snap, but also hearing some thunder as well. Not enjoyable by any means. Thunder ice could be a chewing gum flavor. Yep, that I'd rather talk about that being a flavor instead of current conditions outdoors. Cleveland here still getting freezing rain right now. Trees are falling consistently. I actually just had a friend send me a video up in New Albany, up in Union County, I believe, of just those icy conditions and just trees snapping. It's eerie stuff, but I appreciate all of y'all tuning in, trusting us as we kind of walk you through this process, because this is pretty much a historical event. We don't experience this every weekend here in North Mississippi. And thankfully, that is a good thing that these are very rare, because we don't want to experience this all the time. So remember, stay indoors. And I know that power outages, I mean, they are nothing we want to deal with, but everybody is working very hard to get you that power back on. We also have to remember that those trees falling, not only falling on power lines, but also falling on those trucks as well. So they are doing their absolute hardest to get that power back on, but still could take a while. Make sure to continue conserving your power as we continue into our Sunday, because hey, you might get your power back on in the next few hours. It might not be till tonight. It might be for a few days. So I pray that all of y'all have still taken the necessary precautions throughout the week, because we wanted to make sure that you guys knew what was coming this weekend. Someone's asking about Aberdeen to Starkville. How will it be? Well, right now, still very rainy, but those temperatures are going to drop soon. So, I mean, I bet you could look outdoors. I know for my backyard, we just have standing puddles of rain. So my concern is how wet our soil is, how wet the concrete driveway, roads, everything is. And once those temperatures start to drop, I mean, I could see all of that freezing. And I don't appreciate the thought of that kind of freezing onto the trees as well, making them a little bit heavier with that wet soil. So remember, we are still working through this together. This is not going to end in an hour or two. All of us are going to continue throughout this process together, still expecting to see more and more. Thankfully, the lightning, which I'm noticing on the radar, not as evident as it was earlier. Let's go back, around 6:15 into the 6 o'clock hour. By 7:19 now, our current conditions not showing as many lightning strikes. We do still see some above Eupora out there. So definitely could still see some of that underthice occurring. It looks like we actually, now that I'm looking at it, we kind of look like we have a big batch heading towards Kosciuszko right now. So that is definitely a more evident storm. You can kind of see that darker shade of pink. And one just went along I-55 right before that. You can see kind of that clump just for a second. Let's see. Can you give a time frame of the temperature dropping and freezing Monroe County and south? Okay, so that's actually something I've been looking at a lot lately, because I've been trying to see if those freezing conditions are going to return while we get these rains, because I'm in Starkville. As of last night, I saw those temperatures dropping pretty much around lunchtime and staying below freezing for the rest of your Sunday. So this is something that's going to start to occur within the next few hours. We really appreciate getting the rain out of here before that temperature drops. This isn't something where like, oh, we wish we could get some snow. We don't want any of this. This needs to kind of move on out as those temperatures begin to drop, and we don't want to see these occurring at the same time. But for that question, I remember it was Monroe County and south. I'd have to scroll back up to find it. You can expect those temperatures to drop within the next few hours, and then you're staying below freezing for a considerable amount of time. So I pray that your power is still intact and going, because we want to make sure we can still have some heat, but keep those blankets, keep those comforters handy. I know all of us have been raiding the grocery stores throughout the week, and y'all fought hard to get y'all's groceries with everybody there. So use them wisely. I see some more comments, really loud thunder in Fulton, which I can start to see some lightning strikes go towards that area. I'm still trying to keep an eye on that system and storm heading towards Kosciuszko. You can kind of see that darker shade of pink at the very end, almost just like a little circle, showing that there are some heavy amounts of precipitation falling. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be a thunder eye situation with how much colder they are on the wrong side of that freezing line. Let's continue looking at the comments. Power going down in places here in Cleveland. Wife and I watched about 4 transformers light up the sky one after another. I mean, that is still very eerie. I'd hate to see something like that happening outdoors. Glad you're staying indoors and mentioned you're watching it from inside. Definitely don't want to see that. Trees falling left and right like warfare in Abbeville, Mississippi since 1 a.m. this morning and only getting worse. I think that's a good comment to read because I mean, some of us have gone through the peak, but we're also experiencing it right now. This isn't something that's going to get better within the next few hours. These conditions are pretty much going to continue to worsen, especially as that ice continues to weigh down on these power lines, continues to weigh down on these trees. They can only kind of keep up for so long. They'll eventually give way, and we can see the radar right now. There's more ice on the way. We're dealing with this right now. We're going to continue to deal with it for the next few hours. And like Matt zoomed out earlier, we still see some more kind of outside of North Mississippi out there in Arkansas and Louisiana making its way up to us. But we're ready for those drier conditions to return. Definitely going to be a lot cooler as well. Let's see what else is talking about. In Oklahoma, seeing rain right now, and the power hasn't gone out as of now. I pray it stays that way. That is good news to hear out there in Oklahoma. Let's see what else is going on here in the chat. The roads will be back black ice soon. Stay off the roads. Yes, no one needs to be driving. I've stayed put all weekend long here in Starkville. And you could argue that the road conditions have been fine here on the first half, but it's just one of those you don't want to risk anything, especially because you can see that freezing layer continue to have move west, east, just south a little bit. So it can change in an instant. And if that shifts just a little bit, it can change a whole lot. Looks like we have some. Yes, I know. People were watching and having a church lock-in, all staying safe in one place on campus. Very good news out there in the UCSC in Starkville. So I pray that all of them are having fun, enjoying their time together, but staying off the roads as well. They did a good job, especially with the college students wanting to stay in one place, not go out and about. So that is good news to hear. But yeah, no, definitely stay indoors with those roads. To go back to what I said, sorry, that comment caught my attention. That freezing line, that's been the big story throughout this week on showing kind of where it could be, where it could move, how consistent will it be. And if you're on the colder side of that freezing line, you're going to get more ice, and that's more devastating. If you're on the right side, that warmer side, going to get more rainfall. That is the better news in this situation. But this is still going to impact your roads. As those temperatures begin to drop, it could freeze and glaze over that rain that you received, especially you're on the warmer side. And with the ice not that evident, then you have a case of black ice. So for those in the Golden Triangle region, we could potentially see that start to form within the next few hours, making travel very risky and something, quite frankly, you don't want to risk. So make sure to continue staying indoors with your family. Enjoy this time with your friends. This is technically a good thing if you want to think about it positive. You have some time to hang out with your people, enjoy your time with your family. So let's continue to do that this weekend. Try to find the positive, although I know this is a very intense situation. Let's continue to look at the comments. My road is full of pine trees in Oxford, and all the trees are bare now. Basically, all the tree limbs on the ground already. I bet Oxford was one I was looking at earlier. One of my friends was asking throughout the week due to his brother living up there, and I knew that was kind of going to be a rough spot as well. And I pray that everybody on the Ole Miss campus doing well as well, because I know there are a lot of college students up there. Just rain at Pratt's, definitely some good news. Another never got ice in Pratt's, just rain. Let's continue to keep it that way, hopefully. Can you talk about the significance of thunder and ice storm again? How's it worse? Okay, yeah, that's another good question because we keep throwing around the term, and that is a term you definitely don't hear often, especially here in North Mississippi. But thunder ice, from the best way that I understand it and I've learned throughout this week, just due to it not being a regular occurrence, imagine thunderstorms. We have those very often here in North Mississippi. It just dumps that rain. We can see a lot of rainfall come from one thunderstorm, one cell moving across North Mississippi. We've seen it time and time again. But right now we're experiencing these icy conditions, below freezing conditions across North Mississippi. So if you have one of those cells above you, all of that's freezing by the time it makes it to the ground. You're seeing that freezing rain, that ice accumulation skyrocket. So thunder ice is something that you do not want to see in this situation just due to all of that. I mean, I don't even want to say rainfall, that frozen precipitation just continuing to grow and continue to accumulate on those power lines and trees. It kind of, thunder ice is almost speeding up the process on everything that's occurring across North Mississippi. So we're trying to stay away from that. That's why we've been talking about those lightning strikes here on our Mama Justice Doppler radar, showing that it is occurring across North Mississippi and something that we want to continue to avoid just due to that heavy precipitation, heavy freezing precipitation occurring across our region. So very good question. We want to make sure to avoid that as well. Oh, this is a good comment. I think y'all keep thinking this rain isn't going to cause damage. My entire yard is flooded. 2 foot ice cycles on my house. So yeah, even showing that these flooding conditions, we've seen some of those warnings issued with these heavier batches. But once those temperatures drop, I mean, think about the standing water you have in your front yard, your backyard, on your driveway, on the roads in your neighborhood. That will continue to probably glaze over once those temperatures drop. There's your black eye situation. You can't see it, makes it that much more dangerous. Another comment showing all rain in Amory. Yep, can definitely see that. You might even be hearing some rumbles of thunder as well, as that lightning is above you at this current time. How does freezing rain show on radar as rain? So actually, the way I believe it, and this is again something that I've been learning a lot this week with the frozen precipitation, and something we've been learning a lot in class due to us experiencing a historical event like this. Let's take a look at Kosciuszko, because that's something that I wanted to point out. You can see all those lightning bolts continue to move on through. Thankfully, we can see that darker shade gone now. But for a split second, right before this loop ends, you're going to see kind of a darker pink, like a circle almost. That kind of shows you that circular cell, that thunderstorm that we typically see on radar, especially with those reds out there. And imagine that circle just kind of embedded in the pink. So that shows that heavier precipitation along with that lightning, showing that thunder ice is most likely occurring out there. So that's kind of how you can distinguish it on radar. You can also make the argument that, hey, maybe some of this green, especially along Amory, it's so close to that freezing line, it could freeze by the time it makes it to the surface as well, if it is just a little bit cooler than what radar is picking up. So that's kind of some ways you can distinguish where it's occurring and how it's going to affect you as you go out throughout the rest of your Sunday morning hours. But remember, this isn't just a Sunday morning thing. We've been dealing with this since yesterday, practically, and even Friday night across North Mississippi. We still have quite a few hours ahead of us, but thankfully we are now closer towards the end than we were to the beginning. So that is some good news. Someone asking, is Amory going to be okay? I can definitely see that y'all have some heavy precipitation right now. Thankfully, for the most part, y'all seem on the right side of that freezing line. Hoping to keep it that way. Should just be some heavy amounts of precipitation, but I mean, y'all are also right there on the edge. So definitely remain indoors, continue staying inside off the roads as continue to worsen. Hopefully not seeing too much ice out there. I think I did see talk about Amory, and it was just rainfall so far. Now travel to Aberdeen from Starkville around 1 p.m. Safe? Question mark. I don't think we need to be talking about travel, in my opinion. I think that's something that we continue to just stay indoors. I've stayed here all weekend long. You can argue travel has been relatively fine here in the Golden Triangle region, but we're also not done with it yet. So, I mean, on the worst case, you have to try to get back to Starkville, but I would try to stay put, especially as that ice will continue to grow, especially black ice here in the southeast with that kind of glaze that could occur later on today, Matt.
Well, you did a great job talking people through, and I think you nailed it, wise beyond your years. Can I travel? Please do not. That's simple, pretty much. Can I travel? Please do not. I think I've got all of my stuff on the backup. I've got the backup fireplace. We put in gas fireplace into the living room, knowing that this day would probably come some point in the middle of the forest, and unfortunately, it is here. We're going to take a brief break here, get some things, figured out. We're probably going to try to get some officials and folks that we can talk to. Do you have that emergency manager list?
I believe so. I can pull it up.
Okay. So yes, we'll say some emergency managers, such as the Pontotoc County Emergency Manager. I'm trying to remember. I know that, and I don't know why. Alan Bain. I will text you his number. Actually, Let me just say this. For area emergency managers, if you get a phone call from a random 785 number, it's probably me. Okay? So I'm calling some folks, just try to get an assessment so we can get the information that people need. So random 785 number, it's probably me. Okay? We will take a brief break here, and we'll be back with more right after this.
been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available.
I have a feeling we're going to have some of that this morning, and I apologize in advance if I call you trying to get a hold of you, and that's annoying. I apologize for that. I'm a Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopp on here. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather. I'm going to see if I can get some folks back on the phone. One of the people actually I'm going to talk to that was one of the first people that knew that I was doing this in kind of the non-TV community. I'm going to give a call here too, because I'm curious about how their situation is, because I don't have a ton of reports from there, but I do think that there are going to be some problems there. So I'm going to try Linda Griffin here for a moment. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopp on our Caleb Edelblut behind the scenes here. Hold on a moment. See if she's available to talk for just a moment. Let's see if make that phone call. So icing is continuing and will continue. And the unfortunate thing here is it's going to continue shifting a little bit farther east over the course of the next couple of hours. Hey, Linda, it's Matt Lopp on over at Mississippi Live Weather. First off, y'all okay? Would you mind talking with me on the air for a minute here? Okay. Is that okay? Yeah, what were you talking about? Just kind of your situation, Chickasaw County. But I have you on my ear at this moment. I'm putting you on speaker. Is that okay? Okay. Give me just a moment. So joining me is Linda Griffin. She's the emergency manager there in Chickasaw County. And I've had you in ICE for a large chunk of this event. I know that hasn't been everybody. What are conditions as of, now 7:30 in the morning on this Sunday down in Chickasaw County?
Right now we're getting heavy rain and some spot flooding, no flooding of homes, but our ditches are all full of water, but it's just all rain right now.
Okay.
And we've had to report a few trees down, but county road crews are working on that in Southern County. Okay.
In the northwest portion of the county, you've kind of been closer to the icing situation. I mean, have you heard any, have there been trees on houses? Have there been, significant, issues there? Well, what kind of issues have been getting out of Chickasaw County? Because we haven't really heard a whole lot.
Right. The main issue on the northwest side is power outage. And it's sporadic.
Okay. What is your main concern at this point?
The temperature dropping, and it turning into a sheet of ice for our roads, for our emergency crews. It's out now, checking on, trees that's been reported across the roads. They still, have to be on the road no matter what. And we've got a lot of water on the road and ditches.
I think you just nailed it at the end there. You said a lot of water on the road. There's going to be this tendency for some folks to get out because the roads have not gotten terrible on this, which has been one blessing. The unfortunate thing is that means you're right at the freezing point, and power lines and power poles and trees, unfortunately, have then iced over because of that. What do you say to someone that says they need, and I'm not talking about, they're going to die, but they need to go someplace. They need to go to work. What do you tell somebody like that?
Well, they better start early. And, if they absolutely have to, start early. And I know there's some people that can't stay off our rural roads that's not in the best shape anyway to hold this amount of water. That's a big concern, those back roads that people think they got to get out. And, and then if they have medical emergencies, us getting into them, if the road floods or freezes over, we're going to go to them. It's just going to be delayed.
Yeah, I think that's a huge important thing to keep in mind. Like, it's not like nobody's trying here. It's that it just takes time. In some cases, right. A lot of time, right?
Exactly.
So ultimately patience is it, warming shelters. Do you have warming shelters that set up there in Chickasaw County once we go to that, and where would those be at?
Well, we got different locations all over the county that could serve as warming shelters, but that's based on, does that warming shelter have a backup generator?
And that's a good point. Yeah.
That's, we don't have a lot of our designated locations that does have, so we don't want to say this is the place and people get on the road and then they get there and they don't have power either.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a reason we hadn't, designated a certain area, because we don't know, just like right now, northwest area of Chickasaw is where most of our power outage is. And we may have designated a warming shelter on the east side.
Yeah.
But we just don't want people on the road. If they think they got a place to go to, they're going to try their best to get there. And then I don't want them to get there and the power goes out, while they're on the way or before they get there. And we didn't have no way of letting them know.
That's such a wise idea, because we're not in a situation this instant where you need a warming shelter. That is tonight. That is tomorrow night in particular, where we get to the point that we need to have one of those. So, preaching patience as far as that is concerned, I think that's probably wise to knock it out there. Anything else you want to add for folks that you think they might know? Not just your folks in Chickasaw County, but just, for folks that are just watching us in other parts of the area where we're not talking to their emergency managers, but you can get inside that mindset. And I'm thinking, I don't know for sure we're going to be able to talk to people at every place. I'm going to try to talk to the emergency manager there in Lafayette County here in just a second. But anything that you want to add, good information.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of people who are looking at their phones to get their weather information. And right now they need to keep those phones completely charged, because at any minute the situation could change. If they could find some other source, just a good old basic FM radio, you can get weather channels on that, or TV, and stay off their cell phones, because there's so many people who don't have landline phones anymore. And that's rechargeable device, is what's going to mean the difference to them being able to call and get help if needed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I actively told people to turn off this stream, and I think that's the wise decision. Is you got to save power. This might be hours. This will probably be days. In your county, hopefully, it's no more longer than that. But in some spots, it probably will end up being a week or more without power.
Yeah.
Okay, Linda Griffin, who is the emergency manager there in Chickasaw County. Thank you so much for joining us here on Mississippi Live Weather this morning. Prayers to your folks that everybody stays safe and that things go well in Chickasaw County. All right.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you too.
Appreciate everything you do.
All right.
Bye. Worked with Linda a lot of years here. She's part of, again, one of the folks, first folks we talked to. I'm going to get you up here in just a second. I'm trying to get one thing figured out with this. Give me a moment. EMA LAF. Okay, I've almost got your stuff plugged in here, Bo. So give me just a moment. About 10 more seconds, we should have it. Okay, and let's bring Bo Moore, who is in one of the most hard-hit counties in our area. He is the emergency manager there in Lafayette County. Join us here on Mississippi Live this morning. Bo, how are things looking here as of 7:40 a.m.? I know the answer to that question, but
Well, it's been rough, Matt. Seems we really started to see trees and fall around midnight last night, and even as I was sitting here waiting to chat with you, I had a couple fall behind me. And that's ultimately one of my biggest messages I want people to know this morning is, like, stay at home. Not so much, I know y'all probably get tired of us saying it because of the roads and all that. Forget all that for a moment. You could walk out of your house and potentially get hit by a tree or a power line because they're dropping just so quickly. And we don't want anybody to get hurt or killed. So it's just really important to stay sheltered in your home. We don't have any official shelter-in-place orders out there right now, but I'm just, word to the wise, please stay home and stay safe. And the previous EMA director that you were talking to, very good advice as far as try to stay off your phones, keep that conserved on the battery power, because we have widespread power outages throughout Lafayette County and the city of Oxford. and it's not going to be a quick process to get them back, because a lot of areas it's just simply not safe for Northeast Power to have crews out in certain areas just right at the moment. So we've got to think of our linemen's safety, our road crew safety as part of this response.
Yeah, you do, because this is safety on all different levels. We want to take care of residents. You want to take care of residents, obviously, but this is still a situation where we're adding ice. You have some wind. You know, a dead lineman does nobody any good. Same with any first responder, right? You know, so that doesn't speed up the process, and obviously has catastrophic side effects. You know, I mean, you're talking about a lot of power outages. I think the thing that kind of I guess I wasn't prepared for. I wasn't prepared for some of the reporting infrastructure to go down on the power outage situation. You know, some of the numbers look like they're getting better. It's just because the systems, you're having some failure where they can't report back. I mean, I'm showing still 18,000 residents there in Lafayette County. How many residents? I mean, when you start looking at a lot of those are in the county itself and their individual outages. Have you talked to the folks of Northeast about power restoration efforts? How long they think this could take?
Yeah, so we're been in contact with Northeast all through the night, and quite honestly, Matt, because of how widespread tree fall has been, we don't have a full understanding of all the outages. Kind of like you said. Also, when we can get one thing back on, it's like 10 other things go down. So we're coordinating with them. They're out trying to get a better number for us, but we're anticipating it still to be north of the 18,000 that we see on their site. So it's mixed throughout the entire county. It's not like one section of the county is suffering an outage. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to see if I can kind of pop that up instead. So give me a moment. Yeah, so this is the kind of the graph that I was showing on there. I mean, you're talking in some counties that they serve 99, 98%, 100% of folks. I mean, you know, they don't serve a ton of folks there in Benton County, but how many 100% of folks of Benton County out? This shows 2,400, you know, subscribers to Northeast out. You know, and in Lafayette County, I mean, a full 77% of the people they serve, 25,000 people. I showed them, 19,000 of theirs in your county. That's going to take a long time.
Yeah, yes, it is. And if you keep seeing me turn my head, that's every time you see me turn my head, that means a tree's falling behind me. Now I'm in a safe spot, but it's close by. So yeah, it's going to take a lot of time. We expect this to be a several day process. You know, so we've got trees wrapped in power lines. So then we've got to get power crews there to make sure it's safe for our road crews to start removing trees. So there's a mix of everything. But what I tell the citizens, like I said, you know, stay home, stay safe right now. The temperatures are not warm by any means, but they're not just absolute frigid at the moment. We'll make more announcements of what we're going to do around warming centers and other items. We've been in contact with MEMA, requesting additional resources for our county to support citizens through this outage, because it's going to be a long process.
You know, I don't speak government lingo on this, but you do. You heard, I'm sure, about the disaster declaration that President Trump and the FEMA, you know, sent out about that last night. What does that mean for you? Because you're going to, I mean, I don't think there's a question. You're going to be one of the 2 or 3 worst hit counties in this state, at least, which means probably in this storm. You know, what are your hopes for that? What does that mean for a person at home that says, you know, yay, or I don't know what that means? Like, what does it mean?
Yeah, so as everybody knows, there's, you know, we're through government. There's a lot of steps you have to take to, you know, ask for anything. What a natural disaster declaration does for us is it allows us to move a lot very quickly on a response of getting additional assets. So where originally, if I, you know, pre-disaster declaration, I might have to ask one person, then another person, and another person to get those resources. A disaster declaration just allows that to just move so much quicker. where we can kind of go direct to sources. It allows us to bring in private contractors, which we already had on standby for this event. So it just allows us to do things a lot faster in our response. And then on
That's
the back end of that, it brings the county and the city funding for us because this is going to be an expensive ordeal.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, this when you start talking about tree removal and all the stuff that goes with this, I remember when we had the Tupelo tornado back in 2014, and I lived near a road where they went for months. Were taking that tree debris to this one specific landfill, because that's where it all went. I mean, this is a lengthy process to try to clean things up. I'm not saying on the high end tornado scale. But this will be a lot worse than maybe even some of the tornadoes we had early last year, right?
Well, you think about this on tornadic events, right? A tornado is going to follow a track, right? And that track is going to be X miles wide, if you will. I mean, we have over 600 square miles of county, and this is all, there's not a tornado that's that wide. So it can be on par and greater than a tornado hitting as far as.
I didn't want to say that, but I kind of wondered about that.
What I mean? So like, that's how I judge it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it really does have potential to be greater than a tornado, and it's harder to wrap your brain around. I mean, I go back to this map here, and I know that you have important things to do, so I'm not going to hold you a whole lot longer. But one of the things that when this Northeast map, comes back on, it's just, you have some big numbers, but there's so many singles on here, so many one outage in that location. That just takes time, and it might take cutting, especially with the hills you guys have in Lafayette County, the amount of trees you have, a lot of pine trees. It takes quite a bit of time to even get someplace. I'm going to ask a dangerous question here. If I'm out there in the county, and I'm out, I know some of those hills, Keel or, that portion of the county, am I on my own, or what would a response time for emergency officials be if I had a fire and I had the ability to call and you had the ability to even go? I mean, I can't imagine it'd be quick.
Well, what I can tell you is nobody in Lafayette County is on their own, right? We are coming for you. You dial 911, you have an emergency. We are on the way. I mean, the sheriff's office right now is digging out an ambulance off of one of our county roads to make sure that they can respond to a call. So, I mean, we're coming. But to your point, it will be delayed because it's just going to be slow us getting there. But nobody is on their own. We're going to bring assets. We're going to get there. We have some specific assets in reserve to be able to respond to emergent 911 calls. So, like if your house caught on fire or something like that, that we could help the fire department cut in to you. So and quickly. So. You're not on your own. We're going to come and help's on the way. But to your point, Matt, be patient because it's just going to take some time.
It will, and that's, I think, in the moment we are an instantaneous culture, and we've adjusted to having my groceries appear at the door instantly and be able to talk to friends and see them being, cross country. There's nothing going to be instantaneous about this, and so I mean, patience. I know that's probably what you're preaching to folks, that you are coming and you're being proactive. Like you mentioned there, digging that ambulance out, knowing that it's going to take time to get to its final destination proactively before it's called, trying to do that. But it's probably going to take some time on some of these county roads.
Yeah, it is. It's realistic, but stay calm. Everybody's been preparing, watching preparedness, videos, I know, or watching your show, our social media, things like that. Just take time to remember that you're prepared. It's okay. People are coming, and stay as calm as possible.
Okay, that's Bo Moore. Anything else you want to add there?
No, we appreciate all our citizens in Lafayette County and their patience and understanding. And no, like I said, you're not alone. we're here at Montage, as we will have more announcements this morning, I'm sure, on what we're going to do about additional centers and resources for our citizens that are affected.
Okay, that's Bo Moore, emergency manager there in for joining us on Mississippi Live Weather this morning. We'll probably try to check in with you closer to noontime today, toward the end of this, to kind of see where things are. Would that be okay if we did that?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt.
Okay, appreciate that. Bo Moore, emergency manager there in
Yes, sir.
Lafayette County, joining us here on Mississippi Live Weather this morning from Lafayette County, one of the hardest hit areas in North Mississippi. The reason I kind of moved a second ago, were y'all going out front just out of curiosity? Because I heard some rumbles. Was that a tree? What was that? Okay, just wanting to double check there because, you know, it is a bizarre situation when you think about it. That Bo would just be standing there talking and then he'd turn around and go, it's okay, just checking, it was a tree. We've gotten to that point, that bizarre point where it is not, yikes, that's a tree, but just, okay, what was that? That was a tree. And it's somewhat normalized. I think that's kind of a crazy part about this. Again, you can join the conversation there. We have an app, if you didn't know that, for our social media folks. And that app is where you can share your pictures of what you're seeing and what's going on out there. Because that largely tells the tale. I'm going to show you a picture here. This is from the Beacon Hill Road area. I'll double check the location on this here for a second. I think that's Union County. Yeah, just outside New Albany where we have that. It's going to be a moment to kind of pop that up. And unfortunately, these trees are coming down. Again, appreciate this picture coming in there from the Beacon Hill Road area of Union County. Unfortunately, that tree is split. And let's not ignore some of the blessings we have there. Whatever that structure was, it is in better shape than it should be because that split missed it. But unfortunately, there is that branch that's right over top of it. Some of these are going to keep coming down. I mean, you can see how bent over some of these trees are. This has been significant icing to the tune of more than an inch in a lot of locations. You can submit your photographs with us using the Mississippi Live Weather app, free and available for all those different devices there. Looks like the chat's covering that up, so I'm going to have to kind of bring it into the regular shot here for a moment so you can see that. But continued icing is expected. And if you're just joining us, one of the things we talked about this week that we were concerned about could happen, that unfortunately has, not just the icing, but the fact is you see those lightning strikes next to me there, we have had thunderstorms producing ice. Thus, heavier ice accumulations, thus in short periods of time, greater likelihood of having trees fail and thus take out more power outages. One of the really interesting things about what's happening, interesting is the wrong word there, and then we're going to go to Caleb here in a second because he's got a storm moving toward him there. But one of the interesting things is just, you know, how kind of heavy these have been over such a short period of time, which was expected. We get those kind of areas of greater accumulation. In Oktibbeha County, we have a number of cameras we can check. The MDOT traffic cameras there in the Starkville area where there has not been as much icing as some places. Still showing a few folks out on the road. Largely the trees, if you look closely there, are in better shape than in most places. The only other member of our broadcast team that I can toss to this morning is our Caleb Edelblut down there in Oktibbeha County, drawing the best, the most fortunate situation out of everybody. I don't see a ton of ice on the trees, but you were one of the first to actually lose some branches with this. How are things looking here as of 7:55 a.m., Caleb?
Yeah, well, actually, I just wanted to point that out because you made the good comment about the trees looking good. I was talking about last night, one of the trees that were bending, and you can kind of see now, starting to shift up just a little bit, that ice not really weighing down on it anymore. That's because it's melted. So not really seeing that continue to grow on any of our trees out here in Starkville. But one of the things I do want to talk about is all the standing water that we see. It just continues moving along our driveway. You can see it continuing to puddle on up, build on up throughout here in Starkville. And I just still think that that's going to be a big concern for us because a lot of us aren't really going to think we're not in it. We're not in the peak threat, not really affect us. This is just some rain, and we know how to handle some rain here in Mississippi. But once those temperatures drop, I mean, we're right on the cusp right now. I know we're in those low 30s. We're going to be close to that freezing point, and once it does, I mean, I could see all of this starting to freeze over, glaze on our driveway, on our roads, everything here in Starkville. So that just makes travel still very dangerous as we get ready for those afternoon hours, and especially we think about those temperatures warming up as we go about our day, well, they're actually going to cool on down, and we're going to start seeing those frigid conditions move on through. I still have people driving on South Montgomery. Maybe you'll see the tail lights peek through the trees. So still people out on the roads at this morning, but I know that I would hope that they're starting to kind of maybe get some last-minute precautions ready just in case they need to hunker down for a little bit if all of this glazes over. But the rain is actually now starting to pick up just a little bit, so starting to see another band move on through. I did hear a rumble of thunder maybe about 5 minutes ago. Didn't sound too close, but also some limbs still kind of falling here. But right now, just a lot of rain. Thankfully, keeping it that way and hoping that it stays that way as we continue into our Sunday ahead, Matt.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Thank you, Caleb, so much for everything you're doing. Caleb is doing a lot of posts going out on Facebook and social media there as we kind of go through this, kind of clipping what we're showing so we can send it out there. Also, Caleb, you might, I don't think I can do it till this is over. We need at some point try to clip some of these interviews that we have and try to put them out there as well. No Facebook downloader is going to work. That's going to be our best option on that, but give it a go. Don't waste some time on it because we need to keep putting out info. By the way, the reason why you're hearing that clap of thunder, that's kind of a convective shower that's over top of you. Or at least about to be here in the next couple of minutes. Mississippi Live Weather Doppler Radar again here. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. Icing continues to move into and through Oktibbeha County where you have not had as much. We will have more in the next few minutes. We're going to take a brief break here. I'm going to try to call an emergency manager or two, try to see if we can touch base with them. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather this morning here in the Room to Room Weather Center. Thank you so much for liking us, subscribing to us, supporting us. Well, more coming up right after this.
Look at Wanda, ready to rock her big presentation. But first, lunch. Sweet Pepper's Deli. Delicious, celebratory, but is it quick? The Cobb salad. Tender oven roasted chicken, topped with cheese. Prepared, plated, and served? In 6 minutes? Is this for real? Well, of course. Well done, Wanda. Sweet Pepper's Deli. Yes, ma'am. Life is sweet.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.
Current time, I forget that that's going to always default back to that. Current time is now, what are we at? Right at 8 o'clock. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather. Things look a little weird here in my fake room-to-room weather center because I've turned down my lights trying to conserve power because we have no power here at the Lawpon household. We do have internet because thankfully fiber internet, if you can keep your distribution device, so like your router, and you can keep your, I guess basically your modem powered, in a lot of cases, you can still have internet even when there are power outages in your area. And so that happens to be the point, the situation in my area, thankfully. But our power is out, and I'm running now off of my F-150 Lightning that I got at Metro Ford a while back, a couple years ago, with the thought that maybe this day might happen. And unfortunately, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And that's where we find ourselves here. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather, and an ice storm that is not done. The crazy thing in my mind, hey, I need to, give me a second. I got to, I've had to talk to my kids on multiple occasions lately. I need to keep them from going in and out. I don't think they understand that there's a limited amount of heat in this house. Hey, don't go in and out. There's only so much heat in this house, and we don't know when it's coming back on. Do you understand what I'm saying? Thank you. I appreciate that. Make sure we need to plug this in as well right here. It's going to go off for a second. We need to plug this in or the fan's not going to work. Got to plug in the fan. We'll deal with that in a second. Hold on. I didn't realize the fan wasn't working on that. So lots of different things that we are trying here. Hey, Caleb, if you're behind the scenes, I'll pop your mic up again here. And I want you to kind of talk about what you're seeing here as of 8 a.m. Because unfortunately, one of the things, not just on this shot here, but kind of on our national radar and everything else, is the fact that there is unfortunately still more on the way. And the decent chunk of this is convective. So we expect, power outages, things like that to increase. While I'm over there, I'm going to pop up our chat where you can join the conversation. You can send in your pictures. We will show a lot more of those. But I'm going to bring in our meteorologist, Caleb Bettelblut, while I take care of something here at the house, making sure that we are going to have heat because I can feel it getting colder. And I know I'm not alone there. Caleb, take it away.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, actually, right when I finished up that live shot, there was a bigger. I know people in the comments were saying whatever is over Starkville is getting harder and louder. Thankfully, for the part of our city and half of our county, that should just be rain right now. And Matt, right when I was finishing up my live shot, was showing that we're starting to see that convective kind of cells start to form just a little bit above us. So we could hear some more rumbles of thunder here in the Golden Triangle region. But I like how he kept this zoomed out. This is not, we've been seeing a lot of North Mississippi, of course, but that's where we're at. And we want to make sure you know what is going on locally. But zooming this out, we can see that this is going down into southern Mississippi as well. Seeing Jackson get hit by this ice all the way across the Mississippi River into Louisiana as well. And this is what's eventually going to make its way to North Mississippi and what will continue to affect us. So this threat is not over. Like I mentioned earlier, we are closer towards the end than we are the beginning, but we are going to start to continue to see more ice build on up. We've already seen the damage it has caused overnight and all throughout our Saturday. So let's remember to take this seriously. And I want to keep harping on this too. For those in the Golden Triangle region, I mean, we have received a lot of rain. I have a lot of standing puddles in my backyard, front yard, off on our driveway. And we could potentially see all of that freeze as those temperatures plummet. Because, I mean, like we keep talking about these days coming up, we're going to be in those frigid conditions below freezing, lows in the single digits, maybe making it to the teens. All that standing water we see, we're going to talk about black ice. So travel will still be very improbable and very rough for the next few days, especially the further northwest you are in Mississippi. But let's take a look at the chat, see what y'all are talking about right now. There's no power in Prentice since midnight. Every tree has no top on it now. So yeah, I mean, nasty conditions are taking place. Want to make sure to try to keep you updated as much as we can. That's one of the good things about this organization is we can go live for however long and from anywhere. So very excited that we're able to still provide power to Matt to keep broadcasting this. Want to make sure we can continue doing that as much as we can. Some more comments talking about power went out around 2 a.m. this morning. Still out. Be curious to see what place y'all are talking about. We're still going to see a lot of ice. I mean, we're seeing more pink on this than we are green. We're normally more familiar with that green, yellow, red, and we handle that perfectly here in Mississippi. We know how this goes. I know we're very tough people that can get through these storms, but this is something most of us haven't really seen before. I mean, we don't want to compare it to 94, but that's one of the big things that people always go back to, and we're seeing. Let's see. Okay. Hopefully y'all can hear me now. I should hopefully not have any more alarms. If not, I will fix that again. But this is something that we don't really see that often and something that we need to take seriously just because we're in the South. Practically, we're not built for something like this. Our infrastructure isn't built for this. We don't have those salt trucks like the North has. So this is something that we need to continue taking seriously as this continues moving on through North Mississippi. You can see it continuing to push into our state, and there's a lot more behind it as well. So we'll keep emphasizing that we're not done. This is still a threat. Thankfully, actually, what I'm noticing right now, the lightning strikes at this loop, especially 5, 6, even into 7 o'clock. But now, not really seeing too much. And that is a good thing, especially seeing those lightning bolts in the pink. We do not want to see that. We want to see that kind of move on out of our area. We don't want that thunder ice, that high rainfall. It's just freezing once it makes it to the ground. That is really bad for us here. So it is a good sign to see those lightning bolts kind of moving on out of our area. I will probably see more of those down south with those convective storms, pretty much just south of our viewing area, down in Meridian, Laurel, Crystal Springs, Jackson, definitely seeing some more stormy conditions there. But on the positive note, it's on the right side of that freezing line. It is in the warmer area, not really going to allow any freezing impacts for those. And that is a good thing. It should just be a lot of rain. And I know we are all accustomed to some rain here in North Mississippi. But let's take a look at the chat to see what all y'all are talking about, see if there's anything going on, because I mean, y'all are our eyes and ears. Y'all have done an excellent job sending pictures from everything occurring across North Mississippi. And what we've really, these pictures y'all are sending are from y'all's house. They're from y'all's backyard, front yard, things y'all are doing indoors. There we go. I think another alarm went off. But hopefully y'all can hear me. Let's fix that real quick. There we go. But we appreciate y'all sending in these pictures while y'all are staying at home. Y'all need to stay off the roads. Allow our emergency managers to continue helping you out, for your electrical power associations to continue helping you out. This is not only a risk to them with you being on the roads, but it's even risky for them. So give them some patience, give them some grace as they are doing their hardest to get you back on back online and get that power out. Another comment showing power out here in Saltillo. So yeah, definitely starting to see some of those power outages. I noticed when I woke up this morning, kind of going back to our power outage map, a lot more colorful, unfortunately, just showing that it's continued to get more and more intense as that ice continues to build on in. There's another comment asking, will there be ice in Kosciuszko? To be honest, I would kind of be shocked if y'all didn't. I think y'all are on kind of the western side of that freezing line. I think y'all are cold enough for it. And y'all are kind of all in the pink right now. So radar showing that you should be able to see some. The question on whether or not that's happening just due to how close y'all are with those temperatures, that's going to be the question. But I know all of us are dropping below freezing later on today. So any rainfall that y'all are getting out there in Kosciuszko, Noxubee, Starkville, Columbus, it might be rainfall right now. We see all those puddles outdoors, but that could still freeze later on today. So definitely something that we want to keep the eyes on. Someone else asking about Amory. Right now, y'all should still be seeing heavy rainfall. I know the storm moved on through about an hour ago. There were some heavier showers and maybe even some rumbles of thunder. Should still be that at this case right now. I wish I had control of this so I could kind of just zoom into some of these places y'all are talking about. But we can continue talking about this on like the grander scale, just showing what's all moving through our state, because we want to make sure everybody tuning in is aware, even if you're not in North Mississippi. Maybe you're seeing some of those storms out there in Huntsville. You can kind of see a line of showers move on through in Alabama, but also seeing those icy conditions into Arkansas, Louisiana, moving out of Texas. We'd rather this be a snowfall event, but we've made it very clear we're not really going to see much snow here. This is an ice event. This is why we got those ice storm warnings at the end of our week heading into the weekend. So that is definitely our biggest threat. What's coming next for Pontotoc and Oxford? I mean, as of right now, y'all are just going to continue with what's been going on up there. There's not anything different heading your way. It's just kind of a continuation. Thankfully, y'all are getting closer to being done. It's just going to be more ice continuing to build on up there. I know we were just talking to Bo out there in Lafayette County, and he was giving y'all an excellent update on just showing kind of how hard y'all have gotten hit so far. So definitely continue to monitor that, stay indoors. Matt, looks like we're back trying to go and see kind of what's occurring across North Mississippi. Some people were asking for specific places in case you wanted to check in on that, but kind of showing what's going on the grander scale and moving in North Mississippi.
Ice. That was easy. Some people asking for specific places, here at the Law Pond House, encouraging children to stay inside and stop opening doors. Same thing you don't do, in a power outage during summer. You don't just keep looking in the refrigerator over and over again. I did put my coat on because it's a little cold here, and it's going to get a little chillier. And we're not alone in that. Anyway, appreciate that, Caleb. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to switch your mic back off. I'll let you continue to do some of your screen grabs that you were doing. And let's go ahead and try to kind of answer some of this stuff. Penny, do you want to help out? Or do you want to, what you doing? You're just standing? Okay. To kind of give you some frame of reference, if you don't typically watch us here, I am broadcasting from home because I knew I'd be set up someplace, so might as well be stuck here at home, right? We have lost power at the Law Pond household. The main, just for your information, we have some backup batteries that we have. There's a finite amount of time that those will work, so I've taken as much of my operation and what we're doing here in the house offline, though it does look like we're still pulling about 700 watts, which I'm interested in. I'm going to have to go around and make sure everything is off. Do we have all lights and everything off? Are you sure?
Except for battery power.
Okay, just want to double check. 700 watts is a pretty good draw considering I have all of this powered by something else. I mean, that's going to be a refrigerator is going to be part of that. That's not whole 700 watts. Okay. Okay, it is what it is. We do have solar, so maybe, well, we have a sheet of ice on that, so that's not going to necessarily help our situation out a whole lot. So we're out of power. Luckily, we have internet in place here. And we're going to try to talk to some folks here across North Mississippi. Caleb, you probably saw the list of emergency managers and things that we put together in preparation for this. I'd like to talk, if we could, to the folks in Grenada County and Yalobusha County. I do know somebody who might talk to me in Yalobusha County. Give me a moment here to kind of reach out to them real quick. Actually, I'm going to put your mic back on for this for a second. I'm going to reach out to this person, then we're going to talk some specifics. So, Caleb, one of the interesting things about this, I'm gonna go ahead and play this through. I'll see if I can do two things at once, but the temperatures, they're going to drop, right?
Yes, no, they are definitely going to continue to drop. That is one thing I've been looking at, especially with that freezing line. We can already see that moving through as we get ready for the afternoon hours, that lighter blue starting to move on in. And then once we see that dark blue move out, it's going to be a while until we see it again, just due to how below freezing we're going to get and how long we're going to stay there. Even starting to see another color shade move its way in, that pink, dropping us to the single digits for our Monday morning. This is why we're still seeing that ice move in today, but travel not even going to get better for tomorrow. That ice going to stick around. We're going to still see those temperatures well below freezing. The good news as of right now is that sun should start to come back for your Monday and into your Tuesday, and ice doesn't stick around as long as snow does. So that is some good news that we can see as we get ready for the work week ahead. But these temperatures are going to continue to drop. So if we're cold right now, get ready to bundle up, because it's going to continue to get even cooler as we go about our Monday. Thankfully, as we go throughout the day, it'll warm up just a little bit. But notice, not a single person here in North Mississippi above freezing. The highest we can see is 30 out there in Aliceville. So definitely some cold conditions for your Monday, as that ice will continue moving on in for the rest of today, continue to build on up for those out in Northwest Mississippi, and will continue to have an impact on us, because those temperatures not going to get any warmer as we get ready for the work week ahead. So still a threat as we wrap up this weekend, but heading into the work week as well. Whether that power will come back on later on tonight into the next few days ahead, that travel is still going to be pretty rough, especially the further northwest you get into our viewing area. But take a look at those temperatures. I mean, they're more single digits than double digits across North Mississippi. And that is insane to try to comprehend, especially just for us out here in the South. Hard to imagine experiencing those temperatures. And I'd be curious to see even what those feels like temperatures are going to start to feel like later on throughout the work week. So definitely going to feel a lot cooler than how it is reading outdoors, due to that northerly wind blowing across North Mississippi, bringing in more of that Arctic air. It's going to be a little bit rough, but I know we are going to get through it together. We're going to keep you updated as much as we can, especially with these backup generators and whatever setup Matt has now. He is making sure that y'all are going to get the absolute latest and the very best from him as these power outages continue to spread throughout North Mississippi. But now we're taking a look at that Futurecast. And Matt, I don't know if you wanted to take this or if you still needed to make your call. Moving on through. Yeah, we can still see that ice affecting us here across North Mississippi, and notice that freezing line continuing to kind of affect us here in North Mississippi. Starkville dropping below freezing around 31, Amory down to 30, Red Bay at 30 as well. So for those receiving rain in those areas, we could start seeing that freezing rain, or potentially hopefully sleet move on through. Most likely going to be freezing rain, but conditions are going to continue to worsen as we continue throughout our Sunday.
Absolutely. We don't expect things to get better anytime soon. They will continue to erode as we go through the day. Talking some specifics about what some folks are dealing with here. I want to go to Yalobusha County. And was that you? I thought a tree limb just hit over my head. Please, okay? If you want to silently sit there, please, okay? Sorry about that. My heart jumped, but I'm not alone there. We have former Northern District Public Service Commissioner Brandon Presley with us here on Mississippi Live Weather this morning. Brandon, I know, and I'm gonna try to pop the chat up real quick. I'm gonna see if I can multitask. Give me just a second, see if this is gonna, not that. Sorry, give me a moment to pop this up so we can kind of still get some feedback from folks. I don't think I can do that at the same time I have you. So I'm gonna just go with you. Okay. We're gonna make it, Brandon. But Water Valley's in rough shape nonetheless, right?
Yeah, we're in pretty rough shape. I chair the electric commission here, which is over our small electric utility, 2,100 customers, and we have the entire system out except for just a few down at Yallowbush Hospital. But the problem, Matt, is exactly what you've been saying for days. You can hear limbs crashing behind me right now. It literally sounds like a war zone throughout the county. We've got crews dispatched in. The issue is we can't really make a good assessment right now of the system simply because of the so many trees in the roadway. So everybody here is trying to take their time, be careful, but this is going to be a multi-day event of power outages here.
Now, you come from a background where you understand all different levels of how this whole process works. And you were around in 1994. And clearly 94 was different in Water Valley than it was where you were at, in Nettleton. Just provide some thoughts on, how this compares, doesn't compare, and the kind of response that's going to happen with this.
Yeah, I think that, I was a junior in high school in 94, and Nettleton only got rain, so it's hard to compare. I'll just say this. We have almost every street in the city is non-passable. Crews are stretched. This is a very serious situation, and so right now what we're trying to do are all the things that warn the public. Warming shelters will be opened up in Water Valley here at the Civic, and hopefully we're going to make it through it. But I think that this is it's hard to compare. As I think one of the guys you had on yesterday talked about right-of-way trimming that went on after 94 that maybe wasn't done before then has helped. But nobody claps for planes that land safely, and so right now we've just got we've got a problem, and we're going to be working through it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, patience, I'm sure, is what you're preaching on this there. What is the general mood of people there in the Water Valley area? I know you're not talking necessarily everybody, and you have people that have been very absorbed in this. Is it optimistic, or is this kind of what you kind of feared might happen?
I think it's we had our fears are becoming real. Number one, this is as bad, if not worse, than what we thought. Secondly, though, is people have been fairly optimistic. I mean, I can't say enough good things about our response of our electric department, the city as a whole. We've been meeting for a week about this. So, as far as the planning, we got that out of the way. Right now, we're dealing with a lot of different facts on the ground that are different than you could have planned for. And so we're taking it one step at a time.
Absolutely. Anything else you'd like to add related to this, Brandon?
No, just thank you and your team. Everybody I know has been watching. I want to thank the citizens of Water Valley for their patience and their prayers, and we're going to get out here and get this work done.
Okay, that's Brandon Presley with the Water Valley, Electric. We'll probably check back in with you as things progress over the next couple of days. I appreciate you so much for joining us here on Mississippi Live this morning. Be safe, and
Thanks,
we'll talk to you soon. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Brandon Presley there again, former Northern District's Public Service Commissioner. We probably talked about the current one probably at some point as well. I have a feeling my phone number is probably going to circulate a little bit today, and that's just part of it. You're watching Mississippi Live. Weather current time is 8:21 a.m. Power outages continue to become more significant here across parts of North Mississippi. That is not a shock. That is largely to be expected. Because of the wintry weather that we do have in play today. I'm looking at some pictures specifically there near the Water Valley area. We're going to pop on camera here in just a moment once we double check some spots there. That would be 24th was yesterday. Okay, so those are yesterday's pictures. And it is interesting. I will pop this up. How opinions change. Chloe sent this shot here. The kids, great shot, happy, smiling. And hopefully still smiling as well. This sent in using the Mississippi Live Weather app. We but you know, I mean, everybody's going to be at some point saying, well, why can't I watch Netflix? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? I know my kids, I mean, we're an hour into this, and one of them, when I was trying to hook stuff up a second ago, was like, I need to check this out. Let's see if it works. We plug in this little video game thing. I'm like, that's not how it's going to work, unfortunately. So blessings to y'all, and hopefully patience as well as we kind of get through what is unfortunately an ice storm in every descriptive value. Now, if you still have power, please count your blessings, because you are in, honestly, we're almost at that point that you're in the minority. Did it work?
It worked. She got it.
So our gas fireplace, was working in there, but the blower for it, so it could actually move the heat around, was not. So success, she brought the heat. So here's one thing that I notice on this. Obviously, we still, again, have some lightning indicating these are convective. We don't have as much of that lightning as what we had a couple of hours ago. So that is a difference that I do note on this, and maybe we're past the worst of that thunder, whatever that occurred with this system. But heavy rainfall, especially on the east side there, is something that it is producing. I'm going to look at our camera there in Columbus, because, I mean, I understand how if I were in Columbus or Starkville watching all this and all these power outages, I would certainly be nervous. We do still have a few folks getting out there on the roadway, according to our Mississippi Department of Transportation cameras there. Continuing again to show what are primarily wet roadways. We see law enforcement on the roads, but that temperature at 34, you have won the weather lottery there in the Caledonia area. I'd say a little warmer as well, and you also have won the weather lottery. Let's see if I can get my side monitor back on, because if I'm going off the truck, I should have a little bit more power for a little bit longer. I think it's probably important to be able to see what I'm talking about. Time to give me a moment to get that back up. Again, Caledonia 36, and you are one of the fortunate ones on this. Now, let's be clear. Those two places I just showed, Caledonia, Columbus, and West Point, we've had more icing on the camera in West Point from time to time. Looks like our camera there might potentially be a little more wet than icy, but certainly looks like it is rather saturated for sure. I'm getting a couple pictures here from Calhoun County. Hold on a moment. Let me double check and see if Randy Skinner, who talked with us yesterday, can talk with us again. Give me just a moment. Hey, can you talk with us again? Is that all right? Okay, it'd be the same link as yesterday. Okay, I'll send it again. Okay, I'll see you in a second. Bye. Okay, send him that. Calhoun County been one of the locations that has been very hard hit, and he just texted me a picture of some fairly large trees that have fallen there, so I would like to hear about there. But we are in a position here where we will eventually see a little bit of freezing on the backside of this of West Point, and potentially also the Golden Triangle, but it will not be the same kind of widespread heavy icing that a lot of folks have experienced. Give me a second to type this in. Do you have something, Caleb? Okay, no, you're good. Okay, I think we're all ready for that, and we should be hopefully all spelled correctly as well. Okay, so once Randy gets on and gets ready, we will bring him on and talk to him here live on this live weather. But West Point, it is primarily rainfall. That's what I was going after before this all started, is I was going to try to see if I could see some other stuff going on there. But at this point, it looks like primarily just rainfall there in the West Point area. Joining us as we kind of go around and check in on the situation across North Mississippi is Randy Skinner. He is the emergency manager down there in Calhoun County. I know, I'm sure your radio's on off behind. I saw that picture you sent me a minute ago. Obviously, you've got your fair share of problems. How are things shaping up as of 8:30 in the morning here on Sunday?
Yes, sir. It's starting to get bad here. We're getting more fallen trees than we can handle. Just about it.
I believe that. It's, you know, are we at a situation where crews can even go out and really respond, or are we kind of waiting for this to stop so you at least can make an assessment?
We've had fire departments and everybody out rolling all morning. It's still you can still access the roadways. They're not frozen up. We have a few bridges that are iced over. The temperatures hadn't really fallen fast enough to make the roads slick yet.
I think that's one thing that has really thrown some folks off, that we are just below freezing. We've had enough rainfall that the ground has not fully frozen, but we have had, still freezing the trees and stuff like that. And so some people are like, oh, it's not that bad. The grounds are wet. That's not the case, is it?
No, it's not. It's pretty muddy, actually. It's muddy and.
Oh, he's probably getting a phone call, by the way, is probably what happened there. We'll give him a second to see if he comes back. Randy Skinner, the emergency manager there. I'm going to bet that was a phone call, right?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. My phone's been blowing up this morning, as you can imagine.
Hey, if that happens again, don't you worry about it. You have a real job trying to do real things. If that happens again, it happens again. We'll keep you up. We'll be ready to talk to you. So go ahead. I have your pictures.
Right. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm working this call right here that you're showing on the screen right now. We're trying to get this tree off of the house and get some tarps to keep the rain from doing any further damage to the structure.
Yeah, I mean that's a large tree. Sometimes people think it's in storms, and this in storms a lot of times it's the dead trees. You're actually probably more prone to have live trees fall in this situation because you're going to have more branches. Was anybody hurt in this incident?
No one was hurt. They have been working, trying to keep the water out of the house. They've been toting buckets of water out all morning. We just found out about the call, bless their heart, so we could get them some help. But I don't believe ice was the cause of this one. I believe the root structure of that tree gave way due to you see the water on the ground. I believe the root structure on the oak tree gave way and it just collapsed.
Man, that's unfortunate.
Matt, I hate to cut it short, but just got to call our hospital and nursing homes out of power. I got to go.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. We'll try to talk to you when we can, and if you can't, you can't. Appreciate it so much for the update there. Randy Skinner with the emergency management there in Calhoun County. Thank you so much for joining us here on Mississippi Live this morning. And at 8:29, again, I'm going to go back to this is a picture that he sent in. And you might have heard as he was going off there a moment ago that the issue there that he had to go for is they've lost power to a nursing home and the hospital there in Calhoun County. That has life and death consequences there because people on oxygen or life support machines, when those start to go down, obviously bad things. So he's got to get with people, coordinate. They have plans in place to handle this sort of stuff, but. Yeah. So that tells you pretty much in a nutshell what's going on there in Calhoun County. We're going to take a brief break here so I can get a couple things kind of figured out behind the scenes. We're going to kind of keep trying to check in on folks out there. You can join the conversation on our chat. We're not showing the chat as much here, but we are going to try to show some of your pictures related to what's going on. You are our eyes, you are our ears, but you are also the first level of response. We should not be going out on the roads right now. It is too dangerous. But you are going to be able to get to your neighbor's house before we are. And so we need to have those connections with our neighbors so that we can get there and we can help them out, because it's possible that we could get there 10, 15 minutes sooner than first responders. And Mississippians take care of one another. And unfortunately, that's what we're going to do. We're going to explain this. Someone's saying cold rain, but the temperature is 27. It's not rain. That's freezing rain. More as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
been going to Two Place Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Two Place Smiles.
So how can it be freezing while it is raining? I get the question, and it is not a bad one. But this is what we have. Someone was mentioning in the chat a minute ago that it's around 27 degrees and raining. You're watching Mississippi Live here in the Room to Room Weather Center. We're going to have the virtual one up here from time to time. My lighting I have turned down to conserve electricity at my house. We are on battery backup here at our mobile weather center. And many of you are probably burning up some of the batteries there as well. I mean, I see huge pine trees falling in the yard, over 100 feet tall pine trees. We'll show some of those pictures. Send in your pictures using the Mississippi Live Weather app, or we'll put those download links on the bottom of this as well. But we also, before I go any further, need to be conserving battery power. And one of the fastest ways to burn your battery up is to watch our app. And listen, views on our app is obviously what powers our ability to do this. But please shut it down if you don't have power. I'm serious. Please shut it off and save. And don't go scroll on Facebook then. But shut it down and conserve. And I appreciate the reports you're sending in. But at this point, we have a pretty good idea that there's a lot of issues out there. And I would love for those reports to continue coming in. You could send those in with the app. But ultimately, you need to make sure you have enough battery power on your phone that you can make emergency phone calls if and when the time comes. So I appreciate you watching, but please shut it off. So freezing rain. It happens when you have snow that completely melts and it turns into rain. It's above freezing. It might be 38, 40 degrees. Caleb, check a sounding real quick. And we could just use a forecast sounding. And let's check a sounding and see what the temperature looks like it would be above you in Starkville, for example, to see how warm and that warm nose probably isn't as strong as it was earlier, so you might have to go to an older model one. Pick a sounding from Lafayette County or Lee County from yesterday's 18Z NAM for what it was supposed to be overnight. And let's find out how warm that warm nose is. You heard us refer to it from time to time as a snow eater because it takes that snow and melts it completely in the rain. Okay, so how can it be 27 and rain? Well, when you put your water in your ice cube tray and you put it in the freezer, does it immediately freeze? No, it takes some time. And so rain that is falling that has warmed, we're not talking much, we'd say maybe 38, 39 degrees, so it's still cold, at most 39 degrees, probably closer to say 34. It doesn't take long to freeze. But when it hits the ground, it is still liquid, and then it hits something colder, like the roof, like something, and then it instantly, and not instantly, that's not true, but within a matter of seconds to minutes, freezes. So that's how, it looks like rain on the ground. We have been fortunate enough that the ground has not truly dropped. In a lot of cases, roads have stayed okay. I think part of that is the quantity of rainfall we have seen. And there's some other science stuff that goes into that there. But ultimately, the elevated surfaces are getting iced. If you're at 27, if you truly are 27 degrees, those trees are picking up ice. The power lines are picking up ice. But the ground, it's just looking like rainfall. That's what's so backward and weird about it. Okay, Caleb, I'm bringing in our meteorologist, Caleb Edelblut, here as we are pontificating, doing what we're doing about this. What was that temperature at, just out of curiosity, on that warm nose?
With the 18Z, I went to midnight, and this is for Lee County. It had the temperature at 33 with dew point at 32. So
Okay,
right
so
on
only
the
a
cusp.
degree above there. Yeah. I'm curious if you go back and go back to say, well, like 21Z. I want to know what the warmest it was on that warm nose that there was. But I think one of the things that's important about what you said is that this was freezing, like Lee County, for example, and it might have been warmer than that. Models tend to underdo the warm nose just a little bit. I just kind of wanted to get an idea. So not very far above freezing, that close to having something that was a little better shape there.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, the way that ended up working out. Your pictures continue to come in, as you saw from Randy Skinner, who is the emergency manager there in Calhoun County. One of the things that he was talking about a minute ago was that giant tree. If you missed that before the break, I'll go ahead and show you. Large oak tree fell on a house. Now, he thinks it's possible, and we don't know this, but he thinks it's possible that it could have been a wet root system. The last picture here sort of shows that. How, because this just kind of looks like it's almost blown over, so that's a possibility on it. There probably was some icing. I don't see very many branches on this top side of the tree here, right? And so that, disproportionately sides and the downside of this. And so if there was an uneven distribution, uneven trees are going to be the ones that fall the most quickly because they're going to over ice on one side, and then that's going to help them tip and fall over. So that's probably, I think, a combination of the wet roots you see there and that kind of helping that to tip and fall over there in Calhoun County. The residents of that structure are okay. But as you heard right before the commercial break, they're trying to figure out a power situation there at the hospital. You are sending in pictures from all across the area, and we appreciate that. This coming from Kelly in Ecru there, hoping that this tree survives. Again, not one that's going to cause load-bearing issues on a house, but clearly every single bit of it. This looks kind of like a crepe myrtle there. I might be wrong about that. Let's look at the bottom. That might be just a regular tree. But you'll notice how there's more foliage on this tree. It's not just the sticks. There's some kind of leaves or something on it. And so that does a more effective job of, again, collecting all of the ice. I see somebody mentioning that's a hardwood tree too, is what Andy Riley said. You're right. And the thing is that pine trees are our biggest concern because pine trees have all those ice needles, all those needles that get covered in ice. And Sherman, Amanda, with clearly what I'm talking about exactly there, pine needles. See how they're just kind of all over the ground here? Obviously, that's because the branches fell down, but the pine needles, when you start coating each and every one of those individual needles, we talked about that radial icing, and each needle, multiple times over its size. The pine tree is just not designed to hold that, and so they have a tendency to fail. And that's one of the things that, I think, I can't remember, Andy was mentioned a minute ago, you do expect some hardwood failures, but we expect a lot of pine failures in this situation here because of the significant icing. Again, appreciate Amanda for sending in that shot. Let's kind of go back here a minute, kind of check and see. Unfortunately, these are all going to be some ugly pictures. Let's get the location on this here for a moment. This is from Ripley. This is from Jenna, showing the ice. And again, another hardwood here. One thing, okay, let me back up. Pine trees are going to take on a very significant amount of icing, and you're going to have branch failure. But one thing about pine trees is usually they're one stem that goes up, one main, trunk of the tree that goes up, and then you have the branches that kind of come off of that. And so when the pine needles picked up, if it's an evenly distributed tree, it's possible that you lose branches before you bring down the whole tree. The thing about oaks and hardwoods is it's like if you're holding something heavy, one of those I don't know what those bells or whatever it is that those CrossFitters and people gym use. I think it's kind of a bell, some kind of dumbbell. The one with the handle we're talking about, you can hold it like this for a lot longer than you can hold it like that. So whereas a pine tree has all the extra weight, it sometimes can hold it in the same amount of ice. The overall tree maybe a little bit before it kind of drops the different branches, as opposed to an oak tree is trying to hold out all of that weight out one side. And then naturally what happens, like what happened up here in Ripley, is you see it just fail. I mean, it's kind of like ripping a muscle. All the tendons and stuff that goes on there, it's pretty similar, I think, to ripping a muscle. It doesn't completely end it, but obviously it does a pretty effective job, unfortunately, with that. You can share your weather pictures with us. The best way to do that is going to be using the Mississippi Live Weather app, free and available for all of those different devices, iOS as well as Android. You should be able to scan that QR code so you can send those pictures in right there from the app. I mean, it's just, unfortunately, piles there in Mathiston. We have not shown many from Webster County. In Mathiston, again, there are some of the pine needles, and there's, again, parts of the pine tree. Notice how you don't have the giant trunk of pine tree in this case, like what Fort County had last night. But you do have the branches falling, because the branches give way at the joint point where they, I guess the joint there where they join up with, it's a word for it. I don't know what it is, but where they hit the main trunk of the tree, that point has been their failure point. Mississippi Live Weather Radar, again, we are not done. The reason I'm not spending a lot of time at this moment on this is because if we're honest, the question is does this matter right now? It does, absolutely. But you start looking at, kind of our national radar here. We are watching the backside of this. We are finally south of Little Rock starting to see kind of the end of this wave, and we do expect the dry air will start accelerating toward us. We're approaching 9 in the morning. We have at least till 10, 11, and noon time, probably before this moves in. So, if you're Chickasaw County there, and you're now back over to ice, or Calhoun County, and you're back into ice, we're going to continue to have ice accumulations picking up for you for the next couple of hours. And it's not, this is not a limited amount of ice. Unfortunately, it is a very significant amount of ice that we still have likely coming on associated with this here. So I see somebody trying to get a login code. I'll check that here in a minute. Man, there's no good news on any of the pictures or anything that we're getting set in. Let's look at future icefall accumulations from where we're at here. We will look at Futurecast to show that. So as we look at Futurecast, I kind of run this forward as to kind of jump around on us. Pretty accurate on everything here. I do want to check some of those temperatures. I'm going to check a couple camera locations to check those temperatures before we go on that, just to kind of verify where we're at. Pontotoc County, let's see if we even still have power at that camera location. Nope. Let's check Lafayette County. Nope. Let's check Panola County. We do, but kind of iced over, but we've lost the reporting station there. That has iced over. Let's check Montgomery County. We have power there. Yes. And just right there in the foreground, you can see, well, I say that, we at least have a somewhat recent image. I think internet might be sporadic there. Looks like might still have power, but internet's sporadic. This is probably not a current image there. It might be recent, but not current. You can see the reporting station not even showing up there anymore. But you can see how that is a fairly small. Actually, I can zoom this in even without being able to zoom the camera. It's more of a digital zoom as opposed to an optical zoom. But look how thin whatever wire is in the middle there, right? And look how much ice around it you add. That is a perfect example of what happens to every single little branch on these trees on these trees coated in ice, and then the issues that obviously come from that. So that in Montgomery County, I think like a lot of folks, there's at least some power disruptions there. Check Choctaw County. 32, a lot of ice on the trees there, and camera is working. What is that? 1, 2, 3. Oh no, we got Panola County, so only one of the spots. And look how droopy some of those leaves and some of those trees are here. So we might not have had as many power disruptions there, but certainly we're not exactly in a good situation. I'll see if I can find the power outage situation there for folks. Give me a moment. I think that'd be Fort County Electric. You see if Fort County's outage viewer is working. It is. So we'll look at some of those power outages that we have seen there that unfortunately continue to go up. As we kind of move over here, check out our outage map. That was slow. If we're not going to lose something around here. So on Fort County, I'm over top of it for a second here. this kind of gives a graph over time. A time series would be a way to describe this. And we're looking at 126 different outages. Yes, I know the total number of 6,100 people is significant, but what catches my eye is 126 different outages. That means there's 126 different places right now where crews have to cut through, get there, arrive, figure out what the problem is, and remedy the problem. That takes time. And Fort County was not in as bad a shape as some other folks are with some of those outages. But you can see primarily Choctaw County was where we're seeing the greatest number of these. A lot in and around Ackerman, so a big blessing that we are able to even use this camera at this point here. This is on one of the Fort County Electric towers there as well. But around Choctaw County, thousands of outages. One in particular there, as you can see on the southeast side of town, 1,100 customers there. So there are portions of town. I think that right there. I think that tower might be right about there on the map, if memory serves. So yeah. Quite a few there. All our storm chasers, continuing to put in, their stuff. Talk about all the trees that are knocked down, because of this. I think this is one of those shared events where we all get to say, "Hey, I remember where I was in the nice storm of